Yo, I hear you now.
Oh, that's good. And
Man, I'm so sorry for all that problem. Whew.
that's no problem.
And I missed your whole thing. Damn it.
That's no problem. That's no problem. Ari, are you hearing me now? You
Yeah,
can
I
hear me?
now I'm hearing you. Now I can talk. I'm really sorry,
Okay.
everybody.
That's no problem, man. People is saying that they are here. People from Brazil. There is a lot of Brazilian from drummers from Brazil. I have to talk in Portuguese to say, pessoal, muito obrigado por vocês estarem aqui. Did you get that? You talk Portuguese? Do you talk Portuguese?
No, no.
You understand some words because you play with a lot of Brazilian guys. Yeah, I know.
I should speak now, but no, I just know a few words.
Oh, great, great. But you know the music that I heard you playing with Chico Pinheiro, and it was awesome, man.
Oh, thanks.
Incredible, incredible.
Thanks.
As everything that you do, your playing is awesome, and it's amazing,
Oh
amazing.
man, that's coming from you, brother. I don't know what to say. Thank you though. Appreciate that.
Oh, oh, brother. Hey, man. Let me start with my first question to you.
Sure.
Uh, when I hear you, it's so remarkable to me um, that metric modulations, that
Yeah.
crazy stuff that you do with the tempo. I can memorize some of them: three against two, five against four, five against three. But when I saw you playing, man, it's something that is so easy to change that. And my question is, when do you start to think about that? What is your influences to start to use that in music? Because it's not so usual. It's something kind of from, I don't know, 20 years, 10 years ago. But what is your influence to use that in your music?
Okay, well that's a great question. I always liked rhythm, I guess. It always is something that, that in general kind of spoke to me, and you know, I um I guess I would kind of play rhythmic games from a really young age and stuff. And um being from Philly specifically, and playing jazz which was one of the kind of the first musics that not the first music that I was exposed to, but the first music that I was really kind of enthralled with, Um, and it wasn't just the music; it was the feeling, like especially when you go see it live, like at clubs, and you'd see the interaction with the people,
Yeah.
and kind of how the people interacted with the musicians, and um the whole the whole back and forth. And so one of the things that I really liked is the way that musicians, and especially musicians in Philly, would kind of play stuff to kind of hide the form, play rhythmic ideas. And then I later got turned on to, the music of, like, Miles Quintet and John Coltrane Quartet, and the bands that were, kind of that I guess that influenced a lot of the people that I was influenced by
Yeah.
there. And so I guess my point is just that it was coming up, being able to understand that language was important. And so there was always things that I understood. Then later on, I came across Ralph Peterson, and
Mm-hmm.
and Ralph actually became a teacher of mine a little bit later on, after hearing him play, and he sounded like he had a really strong rhythmic language that I hadn't really heard before. So, I just, when I heard something, I wanted to be able to understand it. I wanted to be able to play it back. I wanted to be able to, like, own that kind of language. So I guess, what I'm getting at is that I've just always liked that. That was always it wasn't something that I was like studying, in school or something like that. It was something that I couldn't do, that I wanted to, and that I kind of, would sing, ideas to myself, clapping. I did a lot of like clapping rhythms and singing melodies. Um, and just clapping various rhythms that I couldn't hear, or that I wanted to be able to understand. And so
Mm-hmm.
that all kind of developed into like a method, the way that I teach now, because I do get questions like that, and and I am you know I'm able to teach that type of method that that I learned that by, because there's a lot of things that you can't learn from just, I mean, listening is the most organic way to learn,
Yeah.
and it's the one that I strive to to get to. But there's some things that it's very difficult to learn through listening, because there might be a very real lack of material out there. You might
Hmm.
want to learn something that you don't know if it has been played before. And so how would you go about learning that or teaching that to yourself? So this method, which I call rhythm training, is that of the method of singing a melody and clapping different various rhythms with the melody. And so that's
Okay.
something that that I did, and that also that I'm able to share with my students now.
Oh, that's amazing. And all the time singing the melody and clapping different things, but because you have to have a reference as a melody to make the different rhythms. No, uh, I think that is a kind of the trick to know that, because sometimes when I try to go to dig in that hard stuffs with the rhythms, but without a melody as a reference, is so hard to understand what happened.
I'm sorry, I just looked at the comments and I saw John Roberts, but it couldn't be the John Roberts, right? Don't tell me. But
John
it
John
looks like
Roberts.
it looks like it might be, because he's mentioning Philly, so that scares me. But do you know this guy? Man,
No, unfortunately, no.
oh, he was like my first big influence. He's just here to scare me, really. Uh, but he's a just a like a genius musician. Anyway, I'm not sure if it's the same guy, but sorry to blank. I just you know what I mean. You look at the thing, it's like, oh, Elvin Jones is listening. Uh
Elvis is here. But oh, thank you for being here, John Roberts, and he. I'm sorry for that. And Ari, uh, I think people want to hear you playing a little. Could
oh
you
yeah,
play a little for us?
oh yeah, for
Just
sure, man.
when people start to do there is Ewan Johnston is asking for any tips to know polyrhythms to any tips for work that. But I think before, if you can play something for us, could be very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna play a little something. This is a song, a Sonny Rollins song. Actually, I'm gonna play right now.
Okay.
Sorry, let's see. Uh, yeah, probably some of you recognize it out there. That's it.
Amazing. That's amazing. Amazing,
Thanks.
brother. Oh, it's incredible because for me, I can't imagine how you have so precise melodic with this.
Oh.
How how you have the precise of the tones? How do you have it?
Well, it's something that I've been doing for a while. I guess melody's always been something that I guess has been important to me. I would say, and uh, that's something that I feel that I hear while not only when I'm improvising, but when I'm listening to an improvisation happening. So I started playing melodies on the drums, quite a while ago, but I never really realized that I could actually get the notes of the melody until a certain point when I started actually playing. I think it happened when I started playing Confirmation,
Okay.
the bird tune, and so I was just playing it just to try to kind of like just to really internalize the phrasing of how Bird phrases it, and so and then I at some point I realized like I can play not the notes, but I could play the general contour of the melody,
Okay.
as many people, many people do. And so I worked on the general contour of the melody. And there was a drummer that influenced me a lot. His name was Earl Harvin. I really liked how he approached playing the melodies of songs, and not just the way that he played the melodies of songs, but kind of with the taste that he used it. He was always able to kind of like come back and refer back to the melody of the song, um, because for me it's very useful because I play with a lot of people that are, I guess, very intense, intense players. They have the ability to play a lot of notes, fill out a lot of space, play with a lot of power, and
Yeah.
um, and so if I'm given like I think probably we've all been in the situation. I'm sure you've been in the situation many times where, you're playing behind like Chico, for example, it's just a burning solo. And then it's like, okay, drum solo. And so like, I'm like, okay, so you want me to play solo after that. So what am I supposed to try to like play something faster and louder or like more intense? And so I realized, by the time I turned 30, that wasn't even physically possible, even if I wanted to. So I needed to rely on something else to be able to, keep people's interest, keep the listener tuned in.
Yeah.
And so for me, melody was one of those ways that I can always kind of go back to the melody and still able to draw in, the focus of a song, even
Hmm.
if it's my solo. So I don't have to play more as intensely as the next guy. So anyway, that's generally, I would say, how it came about. But I did start playing melodies, and I did work on kind of a whole systematic way to do that on the drums based on putting pressure into the heads to be able to change the pitches. I can get like I can get about I would say more easily a ninth from the floor tom to the snare drum,
Hmm.
and I mean chromatically I can get every note of a ninth,
Wow.
and sometime a tenth, depending on the drum and the head and the way that it's set up. I actually have a video about that. It's called melodic drumming. It's just really about, well, it's about other aspects of melodic drumming, but it talks about specifically how I'm thinking about getting the notes,
Uh,
and the actual pitches.
but just tell me something. You think about we are doing that, or you are doing some pressure with the sticks? Just that, or you are doing and there's some part of the head that you look for do that, or you doing the just,
So I actually use three different techniques. One of them is Um, let's see. No, you see this?
Yeah,
Ah, crap. Uh,
I'm ready.
you don't see that. Let's see. Let me see if I can.
No, that's okay.
Is that okay? All right.
Is that okay?
So, oh, here we go. So for the snare drum, for example, so I use three different techniques. One of them is this pushing in with the stick,
Okay.
right? One of them is to be able to put your hand on the drum and change the pitch. So let's say I want to play F, ba da 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 da, F sharp G, G sharp A, right? And I might play it like this. Maybe I want to
Wow.
play like boo doo 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 doo
Wow.
doo doo.
Wow.
Right. So like and then I could do a chromatic scale with the floor tom too. The you see that I'm using my elbow on the snare drum to get
Yeah.
the pitches that I want. The elbow is good for making like a being able to put more pressure on the head. You know, the more pressure
Yeah.
you put on, right, the
Yeah.
more it's going to go. The pitch is going to go up.
Yeah.
Um, so the elbow creates the most, I would say, accurate pitches.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm using my hand, I would use it in the middle, always in the middle of the drum, and
Uh,
you hear how the hand muffles the sound a little bit. So if I
yeah.
wanted to go
Uh,
ba da 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 da, right, right.
man,
So
that's amazing, man.
so you see the elbow, but if I muffle the sound with my left hand,
Yeah.
um, it you can see that it actually muffles it a little bit. And then if I was going to do it with pushing into the head like this, that's
Yeah.
another way to do it, which is also even less accurate than using my hands. But the reason that I would do it pushing the drum into the head is because of speed. I would need to get something done at a faster tempo. And the
Okay.
same thing with pushing it in with my arm. So what if I wanted to play uh, let's see. You see that I'm using, you know, uh,
Yeah.
sorry, but my other
Man,
snare drum is buzzing. Let me just turn that off for a second.
that is amazing, man. I can do that.
There we go. Sorry about that. So I mean, yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've done is also just learning tunes and trying to play them on the drums. I would say, an obvious thing is that if you can hear something, if you hear a melody strongly, you'll figure out a way to play it. If you can hear a pitch well, you can play it on the drums. I was lucky enough, in one sense, to grow up with two parents that both have perfect pitch, and they're both classical musicians. They don't know anything about the kind of music I play, but they definitely, being around like that. And they played a lot of folk music and a lot of like spiritual type of music, spirituals, like
Yeah.
black spirituals,
Yeah.
American folk songs. So I heard a lot of that growing up. I heard a lot of also classical music, like for example, Bach and Mozart and even Beethoven. So like that was the kind of music that I was really exposed to. And
Yeah.
so I did get a pretty strong sense of just hearing pitch. And although I don't have perfect pitch, I do have very good relative pitch. which
Okay.
really helps do those things. But even if you don't have that, you can learn actually. I mean, people can learn to to have relative pitch, good relative pitch. That's something that's definitely attainable. Yeah, my tuning range. I was just saying, hey Mario. Yeah, it was just I'm usually going to be able to get a ninth from the floor tom. Some people ask me if I tune the bass drum. I'm actually going to move my bass drum's muffled right now. I just took it off now, so now it's open. But I don't tune the bass drum to a specific note. I've tried to do that, and the reason that I don't do that is because I'm not able to get chromatically between the bass drum and the floor tom every note. So since I can't do that, I don't tune the bass drum to a specific note. Um, but of course, it's a lower pitch, and then I can always access it that as a lower pitch. I'm always I always, when I'm talking about melodic drumming and how to play tunes, I wouldn't even necessarily recommend starting with trying to get the exact pitches out of the drums. I would more just start with getting the basic contour out of the drums. The contour meaning the basic up down motion of the melody. The way that it moves up or down, usually thinking in leaps or steps. Step would be a small motion, so it's a step up or a step down. It could be a half step, a step, maybe a minor third, and then anything above like a third is a leap. And so if you're thinking that way, you can actually you can really represent the melody quite well. And then there's like the obvious elephant in the room, right? That's saying, well, the main way to actually call upon the spirit of a melody of a song, right? It's not even the pitches of the melody, it's the phrasing of the melody, which really actually is what is going to conjure up that recognition of in somebody's brain. Like, let's say, a song, right? Anthropology. Well, I just played Anthropology. You recognized the song Anthropology, but it wasn't really from the pitches. It was more from the phrasing, I think, at least from
Yeah.
what I can understand, is the phrasing is more connects with people a little bit more than the pitches. If I played the pitches, but in a kind of in a messed up phrasing that wasn't didn't really sound like the song, that you're used to, it wouldn't really connect. So the phrasing is it's just kind of like first and foremost with that stuff, to really, and all this stuff obviously, but this is how I've been able to learn melodies on the drums.
Man, that's amazing. That's so hard to do. I just take my mallets to try to do that, but for me, are you working on it?
Come
Hey,
on, man,
are you?
like give me a little ba 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 ba
Ah,
like I can't play that high. Boop, ba, da,
oh,
da, da,
oh,
I'm thinking of like some Brazilian standards I
oh,
can
man,
give you.
that's hard, man. That's hard. I mean,
Ba da da ba ba boop boop ba. Or
hey,
here's a really easy one, dude. Check this
uh,
out.
I can do that. But just the A. I can play the B.
Oh,
Uh,
but then you have to play the bridge. Like
man,
that's for
awesome,
all
man.
my Brazilian friends out there. I'm sorry, I have never played a Brazilian standard on the drums, but I have to learn that. I will. I will
Man,
certainly do that.
you can play anything, man. You know everything. Hey, Ari, there is a question from Ewan Johnson. and he did it again. He's asking to you any types on playing drums as way of working on rhythms, claves, etc. as a player of a different instrument.
Wait, where is this question? I'm sorry. I'm looking at the is oh, here it is. Any tips on playing drums as a way of working on rhythms, clavier, etc. as a player of a different instrument? Okay. Yeah, Ewan. So, uh, frankly, to be honest with you, no. I don't recommend doing anything on drums to work on rhythms. I would recommend working on rhythms as rhythm. You're working on rhythm. Drums obviously is an instrument that we play rhythm on, but so is every instrument. So rhythm is a specific aspect of music, and although a lot of people associate it with drums, you can work on rhythm. You don't need to play the drums to get better at rhythm. So the way that I would recommend working on rhythm, actually, honestly, specifically, is the method that I was talking to you about, which is called rhythm training. Rhythm that's the for me the way to really start to be able to hear and understand the rhythmic language, because it involves songs. Songs is the kind of the it's like it's the basis. It's your ground. Your floor. You have to be on the ground to be able to do anything else that you're doing. And so the songs are that basis. You have to be there first, and then once you can kind of be steady on the ground, then you can start to like learn what other rhythms sound on top of the melodies. But drums is I don't really recommend specifically playing drums in order to do that. It's kind of a step that if you want to play drums, great, do it. It's but I don't I see that as being an indirect path to learning about rhythm.
Yeah, great explanation, brother. Great. I agree with you. You don't need to be drummer to have a good rhythm. You
Yeah,
have a lot of singers that has a amazing rhythm, and they influence it in the rhythm of the drummer too.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, look at James Brown.
oh, man.
Well, I guess
That,
he was a drummer anyway, but kind of.
he used to ask for all the instruments from the band to play drums. Huh? He I heard some story that he asked to the guitar player, "What do you play?" And he has to say, "I play drums." And the bass player, "What do you play?" "I play drums," because he wants that everybody plays like a drum with a rhythm all the time.
The first time I heard Chico,
Uh huh.
I thought he was a singer. Actually, I didn't even know he was a guitarist, and I was like, I heard like Boca de Siri or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, man, this singer is incredible, man. The rhythm, he's so fast and clear, and it's like, and he was like my favorite singer, and then I started to, like know a little bit more about him, and actually, I didn't really know much about like enough about him until I actually met him, and then I
Uh
could
huh.
understand. Okay, it's coming from a very similar place as we're all coming from. Obviously, of
Yeah.
course, it has to be. But that's the kind of thing that I listen to that. It's very appealing to me. I mean, I hear that
Yeah. Yeah.
Rosa Pasos. I was told you, my good friend Dennis Boulos, who might even
Dennis.
be watching, but he actually is the one that told me about you, Edu, for the first
Oh,
time. He said
Dennis.
you got to check out this guy, and
Uh,
so that's how I found out about you. But Dennis also turned me on to a lot of really great stuff, including Rosa um, and his own playing, which is phenomenal too. But I've been lucky to have some really great people to
and,
show me the
oh
right
man.
way to go and music to listen to.
And Rosa has a very a beautiful sense of dynamic on the stage. Is amazing. I used to play with her sometimes, and she starts to sing in front of the drum set, but with this size of voice, and everybody starts to play a little soft, and it's a kind of magic and it's beauty. It's amazing. And when you come back to Brazil, because I know that you came here sometimes, you have to go to Denis Bulhões city, because he's from João Pessoa, Paraíba.
Right.
That is an amazing place. Have you been there?
No, but I mean I've been to Salvador de Bahia, which is the closest I think I've been to there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Ask Dennis to bring you to João Pessoa. Man, it's unbelievable. You have to go there. Bring your family and spend some days there. It's amazing. It's amazing.
that's actually one of the only times that I've taken a vacation away from like outside of the country was in Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's,
with my family, but I didn't do a lot of music then. But I just it was still pretty amazing.
wow. In Salvador?
I we were there for like, yeah, like maybe 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
and then just was on the Amazon River for a little bit.
Wow.
Took a boat. Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. It really
Wow.
was. Yeah.
Very nice, not so hot, so humid. That's amazing.
Oh yeah.
I have another question for you. My
Please.
question.
Yeah.
I always seen you playing with a different kind of musicians, musicians from a different part of the world, and seems that you are so curious about the music of the world. I saw you playing with Brazilian guys, with Venezuelan guys, with different guys from a different part from the Israel, India, and are you curious about that? But what do you think that? What do you love? What are you studying now, practicing, and how is your influence and your inspiration to looking for that?
Okay. Well, I I uh I I I think there's part of it that I mean I consider a challenge to be able to really understand things that I hear and to be able to think about it in the way that the musicians are thinking about it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm not exactly sure where this started, but I think one of the really first things that I was exposed to that I really wanted to internalize and I tried really hard was Moroccan, northern Moroccan Gnawa music, and so there I had a couple of kind of mentors that helped me learn that music. Kareem Ziad, have you heard of Kareem Ziad?
Yeah, yeah, great
Is
drummer.
is one of them. Another one is Mokhtar Samba. Have you heard of Mokhtar?
Yeah, yeah. I'm,
Um,
I'm not familiar, but I
yeah.
heard.
So those guys. I mean, they're both from Africa. They both live in Paris.
Yeah.
And they both were able to expose me to this Gnawa music, and then I was able to go to this festival that actually Kareem puts on every year in Essaouira, which is in Morocco. So I was able to start to absorb this music, and I didn't understand it when I first heard it, um, but I really, I tried and tried and tried, and they were able to kind of help me, and then so after a while of really starting to understand it at least better, and I feel like that was like a good base that I could really like you know um, draw from, and then from there I was starting to listen to like music of like Reunion Island, which is really heavy, and then a lot of the music in South America and Central America. So I got to get into a lot of different kinds of Colombian music, and in fact, I'm doing a gig tonight with a Venezuelan group, which is the music is really really difficult, but excellent, like really really good. I have a lot of respect. But anyway, I guess for me, there's not a whole lot to say except for just I have a lot of respect for music and for culture, world culture, and I just want to show that respect and understand it. I've gotten better at the skill of listening, and so it's a little bit easier for me to start to understand um, how the music is thought of, and so yeah, that's just like something that I like to do. And it's cool to to give of myself, to put my own creativity and stuff into everything that I do. And I of course I do that anyway, but my main goal when I'm learning new music for me is to just fit in a very like musical and honestly traditional way. Like I want to be able to play as traditionally as I can, uh, for my own education.
Yeah.
And then I have nothing wrong with stretching and being creative and all that. But yeah, I mean I love to do that, and so I've been lucky to be able to put in a some different scenarios that I'm able to kind of do that and practice that. Like when I play with Chico and Edu, I don't. They're both Brazilian, but and of course there's times that I've really tried to play just like the feels really authentically and stuff like that. But I mean, at some point at the end of the day, I'm like, well, okay, I can't really do that. I can't do that like you or like Dennis or like Raphael or like all
Yeah.
the guys that really do it. But at the same time, I can bring what I bring to the music, and that's fine too. But what I want to do is I want to if somebody was hearing me like you, for instance, if I get an opportunity for you to listen to me play, I want you to know that I appreciate you and your music, and I want you to know that through something that I might play.
Yeah, it's the same, and I agree to that. We have to bring our things to the music with a different accent, but it's important to listen, to know different. You are growing up every time when is it's good for your music. Know the music of the world, and you don't have to play because the accent is the same. I have a terrible accent on the language
Right.
in English, but we have to communicate. I think the music
Todo
is the
bem.
same. Yeah, todo bem. But I think the music is the same. You have to communicate. Any place that you go to Venezuela, to Colombia, or Marrocos, but it's the same music. You have to understand what they are trying to do and bring yourself, bring your things to that man, and that's the mix. But I always I always like so much to see you playing different parts of the world, different music. I saw you with Castaneda, Edmar, the harp, and man, that was
Yeah.
amazing. And that guy with some kind of charang or cinco,
The cuatro.
quattro.
Yeah.
Man, that's
Um,
amazing,
yeah.
man.
Jorge
The
Glem.
way
Oh yeah. When did you see that?
in
Like
I think
Smalls
in
live stream or something?
Instagram, maybe Instagram or
Oh, Instagram.
something.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So
He's killing, man. Yeah. He's great.
man, but it was amazing because he does something and you respond with your way to do that, and both are growing up, both are learning different styles of music. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Great, great, great,
Yeah.
great. Ari, there is a guy asking about macro time.
Oh,
Explain, please.
sure. Okay. So, oops. Man, my music stand keeps going down. Let's see. I see it. This is feeling time in large chunks. Like instead, counting 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. You feel the space of two measures and memorize the space. That's the question. Oh, I'm
He
sorry.
was.
Can you put it back up there again?
It's
Macro time.
macro
Okay.
time.
Uh, could you?
Could you guys please talk about macro time, please? Like feeling a measureless space of time too.
Yeah. Uh, I'm not really exactly sure how to really go about explaining that. I mean, there's different ways that you can feel time, but I have to say that generally the ways that I'm feeling time have to do with some sort of subdividing. Um, so subdividing for me is actually the opposite of macro time, right? It's you could maybe call it micro time. I would generally subdivide in triplets or in eighth notes or in 16th notes. Those would be um, those would be the subdivisions that I would use. I would not recommend thinking in macro time. being a musician, because you want to have precise time, right? I mean, that's the idea. If you're going to play in time, you want to be precise, right? You want to be like at least pretty precise. And so for me, if you subdivide, then that's what makes your time more precise. If you don't subdivide and you think in big chunks, like the sun coming up and the sun coming down, there's a lot of space in there, yes, but is it going to be accurate? No. So if it's not important to you to have accurate time, then I think that's when you can think more macro time. Another kind of technique that I use that you might consider macro time would be, taking a rhythm, like, for example, maybe just like a simple rhythm. Say you're just thinking like a dotted, what do you call it? Dotted half notes, right? So like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, we lost him with this amazing explanation.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah. It was a little internet problem, but now it's okay.
So like take this rhythm for a second. 3, 4. Right? So which is it's a you could call it a dotted half note, or you could call it a dotted quarter note, depending on how you're hearing it. So let's say I wanted to hear that rhythm, but in between, I don't want to hear ducka 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 ducka. I want to just play whatever I play, like 3, 4. So it's really unclear as far as the subdivision that I'm using in the middle of that. But what is clear is, the actual rhythm where I'm coming out. See what I'm saying? I'm not thinking of subdividing the other stuff that I'm playing. That you could call that macro time. But the thing that's going on in my head below all that is still really the subdivision. So, to be really honest with you, macro timing, it doesn't really work for the way that I want to feel time. I wouldn't think that way, and I wouldn't really recommend that as a way of practicing.
Okay, and it's hard to do that, because for me, I can think that. But it's hard to take off the subdivision from me.
That's right. Yeah.
It's hard. That's something that when I saw you playing is so special, because you think in a different time, and you goes there easily. And I just want to say that it's hard to me to get more freedom with that. But I will try with this thinking that subdivision plays something different here. But for me, the subdivision is all the time.
Right. I mean, you could change the subdivision between those notes. Mm-hmm. So in other words, like right now you're hearing six notes, right, between each one of those notes, right? Mm-hmm. You're hearing, right?
Yeah.
You're hearing 6 notes, but what if you're going to hear 2, 3, 4? Or what about 3, 3, 4? Or what about 4, 3, 4? Or 5, I can't really do that, but yeah.
I was trying to do the 5.
Yeah. Here's 6. So it's like I don't know
Great.
if you call that. I don't call that macro timing either because it's still you're still subdividing.
Yeah, but great tip. Thank you. I'm working on that.
I me too. I just came up with it. I never practiced that before.
I have to practice that. Thank you, brother. Oh, do you have more questions here, Ari? First, Open Studio says that drummers check out the link out bio from 50% of all drum courses at Open Studio. We have my course, Ulysses Owen course, and Gregory Hutchinson course, drummers course. Check that. And macro time, explain please. Feeling timeless chucks.
I
Picking
would
stones.
say if you guys want to find out more about me and like what I'm doing and my educational thing and just in general, I really recommend my Patreon. I have probably about a good 100 videos up there already, all educational based. It's just Patreon/Ari Hoenig. Obviously the regular channels, Instagram and Facebook and all that too. But Patreon is really good for the just learning about the stuff that I'm into and that I'm teaching and all that stuff.
Oh, great, great, man. Guys, we have to check that. I will check that too, please. That is something that you are doing on this time of pandemic times, of COVID times. You are doing a lot of that, no?
Which one? Odd times you said?
You digging in that in this time of the pandemic times that you have to stay home. You are doing more educational things and you are doing more of that. No.
Yeah, I'm doing more. I mean, I'm doing a lot of private lessons actually online, which
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like. I'm getting into it. I have some tremendous young students that are in high school and even slightly younger and older, uh, but that's actually kind of been really cool for me. And then Patreon, I'm regularly involved with posting and discussings and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean but I was always doing education just like you. Also, that's nothing really new. But I am doing that a lot. Yeah, these days, sure.
Great,
I just like to
great.
have I like to have connections with I mean love to have connections with masters like you. It's
Oh,
amazing, and but I also like to connect with students and people just to hear their ideas and where they're at and just get to know them. It's fun for me. I actually enjoy I enjoy that. I enjoy that process, and because I remember when I was studying and listening to everything I can get my hands on, and I can really relate to all these students now, that even students that are confused by stuff or whatever it is, I can really relate to like just about any question that I get. So it's kind of cool to to have that, being able to connect just like we're doing now, like listening to this. And we can't see everybody, but that's okay. I'm still getting the questions, which is great.
yeah, and that is amazing. I remember when I start to play drums, I start to study. I will never get the chance to have a class with you or to talk with you or to talk with the drummers that inspired me. And for now, with the internet, that is amazing. A guy could reach out to you and take a lesson with you, man. That is
Yeah,
unbelievable times, man.
yeah.
Guilherme Tofano de Andrade is asking, what is the African drummer name? Makoba Samba? Mokaba?
Mukhtar.
Mokhtar.
Mokhtar Samba. Yeah, his last name is Samba. Mokhtar. In fact, I
Okay.
talk about him in my Patreon just last week. Um, but yeah, Mokhtar.
Mokhtar Samba.
Burning. Great. Yeah, great player. Really beautiful.
I will check him. I know Karim Ziad. I met him in France.
Yeah,
He's
Kareem is
amazing.
amazing too. I love Kareem. Such a great musician. And actually, I recorded on Kareem's record, his last record.
Yeah.
One duo we did. We did a duo song.
Wow, I have to check it.
Ah man, it
Uh,
was such a pleasure, man, an honor to do it. It was really cool.
Man, talk with you today is demanding too much to me. I have a lot of things to check after this conversation. Thank you for that, man. Oh, man. Uh, let's see what we have more from here, people. Hey there, we're about to just scroll next time, so to speak, but
Yeah, that's the right spelling. Open Studio. Thank you.
uh, people are saying that we need a translator. I need a translator too. I'm sorry, desculpe, Oinei Figueiredo. Eu acredito que sim, mas eu sou. I'm doing the translation here, and Theo is doing the translation here, but we don't use it them using him.
Hey Teo.
Hi Theo.
Tao.
Hey.
Hey,
Theo.
you guys look exactly alike. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Edu,
But
Edu, Edu is your younger brother.
yo, thank you, brother. Thank you that much. Oh, Theo, tem alguma coisa que você precisa traduzir para as pessoas aqui agora, filho?
Eu acho que não, eu acho que o problema com você, ninguém falou nada específico. Eu acho que o que ele tá falando mesmo seria de uma pessoa pra ficar geral, pra ficar o tempo todo
Ah,
querendo, entendeu?
tá bom, tá bom. Então, Theo, muito obrigado, viu, filho, por você fazer essa tradução rápida aqui pra gente. Tá? Obrigadão. Hey, Ari. And, man, let me see if you have. We are going to end that conversation. More than 1 hour here, and how about your groups? I know that you have a lot of albums as a leader, and that was amazing. How about it now? Are you thinking to do more after that there is some new project coming out? What are you working now on these times?
I'm not. I mean, I'm right now. I've been mostly like composing a lot. I've been practicing a lot of piano. Probably like 3 4 hours a day of piano.
Wow.
So I'm really like improving as a pianist, which is kind of cool for me. Um, uh, and my composing has kind of gotten better. I'm doing some gigs, like I'm doing a gig tonight, but I haven't really thought about like putting a band together and going on the road or anything like that. That's I'm just gonna see what happens. I don't want to force it. This isn't. I just don't feel like this is the time to really push something like that. So, yeah, that's not really something that I'm doing. But what's great? I have a guy, a roommate that I live with here um, that it was not a musician, and I turned him into a musician. I made him play the bass with me, and he's a really great bass player.
Wow.
And so we play. I play piano, and he plays bass, and so I've been doing that, and so yeah, I mean that's where I've been really growing. One of the places that I've been growing in that area.
Yeah, and you still you compose all the time, or you take some time to compose, or you try to compose something different every day. How is your your schedule for every day?
Nice. Well, I've been composing. For me, it's been a lot, but it's far from every day. No, I mean realistically, I might work on composing. I don't know, man. Like maybe 10 or 20 days out of a year. Not that much. I feel like more for me. I'm more of a performer and improviser. That's more strong for me. But I've been getting better at composing. I don't really particularly like composing that much. It's not super fun for me. It's it's a it's kind of a grind. It's difficult. It's like usually things not working, and this, like it's not really a very fun process. Actually, I just started recording for Patreon a series, a video series. It's probably going to be about 8 or 10 videos about my compositional process, and what I went through composing certain of my songs, and also arranging, which is how I arrange standards, which is, a huge part of composing. It's probably way bigger than the compositional part is the arranging part.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if you give a great arranger like a super simple idea, they're gonna make it sound great. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so that's yeah, but that's a skill. Arranging is a skill more than an art, and composing is more of an art. So it's like you want to be able to kind of mix those two things.
yeah. But but man, for us, hearing your compositions is very good. It's supreme, brother. You have to compose more for us. We love that.
Oh man, I have a secret. You want to know my secret to composing?
Yeah.
Get great musicians to play the stuff.
Yeah, Fábio Torres is a piano player that plays with me on Trio Corrente. He ever
Oh
says
yeah.
that. He ever
Oh,
says that. Bring
that
your
is an amazing band, dude. Fuck.
Oh man,
Oh,
thank
excuse me.
you.
That band is killing.
Oh, thanks. But he always says that. We have to compose something, but when people plays, it's gonna sound much better than we compose. And
Totally.
I agree with that. I agree that.
Yeah,
Hey,
100%.
hey, Ari, just one more question before we start.
Sure, of course.
We have Gustavo Portes here, and he says, Ari, could you talk about what you are studying at this moment and how you organize it? Thanks a lot.
Oh, sure. I mean, well, what I just said is I'm really studying things that are related to the piano right now, harmony, and how to think about certain improvisation techniques, harmonically based improvisation techniques on, um, and so that's kind of because as much as I've, I mean, I have played piano and different things, but I just never really got into. I got into harmony really deeply, but I never really got into like being able to improvise, especially playing like single lines and stuff like that. I could just never. I just never was. I never practiced it, so I never really like developed it. So that's actually what I'm just started to be able to do. And so for me, in order to kind of get in that headspace, I have to discipline myself the same way that that I discipline myself practicing the drums, or that you discipline yourself, which is regular practice every day, and all the techniques that come into it, the structure, this about doing the same thing over and over again, and not moving on until you really got something, until you got something down. Um, so that's kind of where that's been for me. There's little things maybe on the drums that I've been working on. Little things like oh, I don't know. I was working on this music that I'm performing tonight, which has been kind of kicking my butt. It's very difficult, but I've been coming up with some kind of interesting drumistic ideas that go along with this music, which is kind of cool. I do a lot of things with like ostinatos, for example. I really literally just started doing this last night, so I can't do it, but it's just a simple ostinato. Uh, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the hi-hat plays that 3, 4, 1, 2. Uh, uh, So it's just this 4/3 displaced rhythm. I can't do it at all. But give me a little time to practice it, and I'll be able to play it. It goes nice with the song that I'm doing, but unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to use it on this gig tonight. But maybe in the next one.
Oh man, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. I just got this one. I just got this. Hey, Ari, I think is we are going to the end of this, and I have to say thank you one more time for being here. I have to say thank you for everybody that came here and listening us.
Yeah, thanks so
And,
much, everybody. Appreciate you coming.
and man, my pleasure to talk with you, share time with you, man. So much, so much to learning. Is so inspired to talk with some musician as you. That when you finish that, you realize that you have to working hard, and there's a lot of different stuffs to work. Thank you for that, man. Thank you.
Edu, thank you. It was such a pleasure talking to you, man, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Much love to everybody. Be well.
Yeah, yeah. And people, next Wednesday we are be here at the same time and with Carl Allen. Please, I hope to see you guys here one more time. Hey,
Awesome.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Tel. Thank you, Ari. Have a great gig today. Thank you, everybody, for coming here.
Obrigado.
Obrigado, Ari. Valeu.
Ciao,
Até
ciao.
logo. Tchau, tchau.
Much love.
To you too.